Hello, and welcome to LSET Tech Bite. Today we are creating a YouTube thumbnail downloader. In this video, we'll walk you through the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code needed to build this application. Let's dive right in. Starting with the HTML. First, we have the doctype HTML declaration. This defines the document type and version of HTML we are using. The HTML lang en tag specifies the language of the document, which in this case is English. Within the section, we have several meta tags. This sets the character encoding to UTF-8. The meta name, viewport, content width, device width, initial scale ensures our page scales properly on mobile devices. The title tag sets the title of our page to download YouTube video thumbnail. Moving to the body of the document, we have a form tag that sends a POST request to the same page when submitted. The action attribute is set to PHP echo server PHP self, which means the form will be processed by the same script that generated the page. Inside the form, we start with a header tag that simply contains the text thumbnail download. Next, we have a div with the class preview area. This contains an img tag for the thumbnail, an I tag for an icon, and a span tag with instructions. We then have another div with the class URL input. Inside it, there's a span for the title of the input field, followed by a div with the class field. This contains an input field where users can paste the YouTube URL and another hidden input field to store the image URL. Additionally, there's a span for the bottom line animation. Finally, there's a button element with the class download button that users can click to submit the form and download the thumbnail. We also include a link to Font Awesome for icons using the link tag. Now let's move on to the CSS part to make the user interface more user-friendly and appealing. The CSS code here defines the visual style and layout our YouTube thumbnail downloader interface, so let's dive in. The CSS starts by resetting margins and paddings for all elements and setting the box sizing and font family globally. The body is styled to center the form on the screen with a dark background. The selection pseudo element customizes the text selection colors. The form is styled with a fixed width, white background, padding, and a subtle shadow. The header within the form is centered and styled with a specific font size and color. The URL input class adds margin, and the title class within it sets the font size and color for the input field title. The field class within URL input sets up the dimensions and padding for the input field. It also contains styles for the input field's placeholder text and a bottom line that animates on focus. The preview area styles manage the thumbnail preview section, including its height, alignment, and border. The active class modifies its appearance when a preview is available. The thumbnail class manages the display of the image and its visibility is toggled based on the presence of the active class. The icon and span elements within preview area are styled for initial display and hidden when a preview is active. Finally, the download button styles manage the appearance of the submit button, including its size, font properties, and hover effect. Now it's time to dive into the JavaScript code of our YouTube thumbnail downloader, which adds functionality and interactivity. The JavaScript code starts by selecting the necessary DOM elements using document.querySelector. The URL field .onKeyUp event triggers whenever the user types in the input field. Within this event, we check the URL entered by the user. If the URL is a YouTube video URL, we extract the video ID and construct the thumbnail image URL. This URL is then assigned to the src attribute of the img tag. If the URL is a direct image link, we use it as is. If the URL is invalid, we reset the src attribute and disable the submit button. Finally, we store the constructed image URL in the hidden input field for form submission. Now let's dive into the PHP part of our tutorial. The PHP code starts by checking if the form has been submitted by looking for the button parameter in the POST request. If the form has been submitted, we retrieve the image URL from the POST data. We then initialize a CURL session to download the image. The image data is fetched using CURL exec, and the CURL session is closed. Next, we set the appropriate headers to force the browser to download the image as a JPEG file. Finally, we output the image data, which triggers the download in the user's browser. Alright, our thumbnail downloader is fully working now. We walk through the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code required to build this application. Now you can paste a YouTube video URL and download its thumbnail easily. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in a next tutorial, and happy coding.